Reddit asks, what's the most wholesome experience you've had with a stranger? Part 2. Fantastic. I had just lost my job and my dad had his card stolen. He was waiting on the bank, but completely out of food and living in an old rundown RV. I would have figured something out. I'd die before I let him starve. Right as he's almost in tears talking to me about it, someone knocked on the door. A lady had food for someone in an RV, but those people had vacated the parking lot and she wanted to know if my dad needed some sort of local helping hands organization. There was everything from canned goods to fresh meat, milk, pasta, everything. She had bought it with her own money and didn't want it to go to waste. I'll never forget the timing or her generosity. We're back again with part 2 of Reddit asks, what's the most wholesome experience you've had with a stranger? Get ready because you're about to feel warm and fuzzy again inside. But before anything else, subscribe to Starface Productions and hit the thumbs up button. Also, hit the bell icon for more updates. You ready? Donut Carrot All. I was really drunk and started puking in a trash can in the women's bathroom since there was a line to get to a toilet. One of the girls in line held my hair up and rubbed my back, telling me I'd be okay. I drunkenly told her I loved her. I may also have been crying. Wherever you are, bathroom girl, I still love you. Datu Murata. When I was 18, I had a friend in the hospital with brain cancer. His time was limited. I visited him when I could. He was kind of hippie alternative punk. I wore a leather jacket and had long hair. I walked to his room. A nurse saw me. Without saying a word, she walked to me and gave me a long, comforting hug. That's how I knew he passed. Stone's throw away. Driving on the highway, the car in front of me suddenly swerved to take an exit and then tried to swerve back onto the highway, almost side-sweeping me in the process. Luckily, there's no one to my left, so I veered into the left lane and avoided an accident. A few moments later, I'm passing her, and she very sheepishly looks up at me, kind of anticipating and expecting someone to cuss her out. Well, I had just learned a new road trip trick. Flipping people off is stupid, but giving them a thumbs down really stays with someone. It's the I'm not mad, I'm disappointed of the road. I had a huge ass thumbs down queued up for this driver, but when I saw her face, I immediately knew she didn't mean to. She was embarrassed and she already felt bad enough. So instead, I flashed her a huge smile, dramatically and jokingly wiped sweat from my brow and gave her a giant thumbs up. She smiled and laughed, and honestly, it's one of my favorite moments in my life. Meow 1983. I was in Walmart one day and some dude was blocking the aisle where the item I needed was located. I then heard him ask a Walmart employee where the cabinet liners were. She proceeded to say she wasn't sure and started to send him to the wrong location. I nosily piped up, I know where they are. If you want to follow me, I will take you to them because I just bought some last week. The man, oh okay, thank you. He followed me to the opposite side of the store and I showed him where they were. He thanked me again and I hurried back to the other side of the store to get what I needed. 5 minutes later at the self-checkouts, the man showed up and I saw him hanging around with his bag of purchases on his arm. When it came time to pay, he stepped up and insisted on paying for my items. I thanked him profusely. At the time, I only had $35 in my bank account and was trying to purchase food for the week. This man who I was so annoyed with helped me so much. I still tear up when I think of his kindness. I am a single mother of 2 wonderful kids, and this was my miracle. Sunny on the farm. I was just at a super stressful time in my life. My housing situation was precarious, I was seriously underemployed, I was working too much, and the 2016 election was literally a day away and I was so worried about it. I had done an event for work, and on my way home, I stopped to get some gummies from a 7-Eleven. I just like gummies, okay? Anyway, there was some kind of problem with their card reader. It literally broke while I was in line, so when I got to the front, they couldn't take my debit card, and I had no cash. so no gummies for me. I left them on the counter and sadly walked away. I lived around the corner from this 7-Eleven and was walking home when I heard someone behind me yelling. I turned around and there's this big black guy chasing me. I stop and he comes up to me and hands me a bag of gummies. "Can't go without gummies," he said. I thanked him profusely. I regret not hugging him. I went home and cried because I was so happy about these gummies. Honestly, I didn't have a lot of money in my bank account, and these gummies were probably going to be the last thing I bought before my next paycheck. It was such a small thing, but it meant so much to me. I'm crying now thinking about it. I'm so grateful to that man. Age of women. A few years ago, I was experiencing deep depression. My life was a mess, my apartment was a mess, I was a mess. For a moment, I decided to just go to the park and sit for a while, as I was really at the end of my rope and had zero idea on what to do. Out of nowhere, a kid, possibly about 3 or 4 years, comes and hands me 3 yellow dandelions and runs back to her mom. I don't know why, but I always remember that. That day, I went home and cleaned my apartment and made it more tidy. I wouldn't say that my life miraculously changed, but I will say that that one moment of kindness that neither the kid nor the mom probably remember was one of the most memorable moments in my life. Captain Salty Pants. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon just came out in theaters. I had been planning to go see it on my next day off. I didn't have a car, so relied on the bus. The day of the movie came, and there was a snowstorm. I walked downtown to get the bus, but there was a sign saying all buses canceled due to snow. I was super bummed out and walked over to the local coffee shop. I ordered a coffee and was telling the owner how disappointed I was that I couldn't get to the movies. There was an older woman sitting in the shop and she overheard us. She looked at me and said, "I really want to see that movie too. Let's go. I'll drive." So that day, me and the perfect stranger went out to lunch and to see a movie together. About a year later, I started seeing this guy in town, and his downstairs neighbor was the lady who took me to the movies all those months earlier. We had stopped by her house for her to get a sweater before the movies. I told the guy me and your neighbor went to see Crouching Tiger together. He was like, "That was you?" She went on and on about how cool it was to go to the movies with you. That's it for Wholesome Experiences on Reddit. What was your favorite one? Be sure to write it down in the comments and give us a like. Also, subscribe to Starface Productions and hit the bell icon for awesome updates. And cut!